got there, and you have to remember, I've been here before, and
I too have been
right
in
by
the U.S.
every rule,
and L.A.
And I waited for governors to say, send in the National Guard. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. And they just wouldn't do it. It kept going on and on, got worse and worse. And in Minneapolis, that city was burning down. It was 7 days. And I said, I don't care.
Protests have the power to express sentiment. Change anything? I'm kind of black-pilled on protesting. I think it's gotta be like some seriously strong protests. If like not strong as in violent, just like mass movement. I think you need like protests can be good and change things if they're coordinated, peaceful. This kind of thing, no, I don't think it's gonna change much. I don't think you're bringing anyone over. Maybe, I think, if anything, the thing that might bring people over is, yeah, maybe the National Guard being deployed is stupid as fuck. And hopefully, yeah, the Marines being stupid as fuck. So I don't think the protesters themselves are going to change anything, but I think Trump's response will change things, which is like, kind of a lot of the strategy was used by like MLK, where it's like, look, we're just gonna walk whatever the cops do, let them do, make them look like the ass, and that'll be the change. So in that respect, maybe.
Who's a governor that just happened to be running for vice president, a total, you talk about
Mayhem.
an incompetent governor, he's an incompetent person. That he was picked, well, I was actually
Totally
very happy
out of
he was
control.
picked for other reasons. But this guy wouldn't call the National Guard. And we ultimately just sent in the National Guard. We stopped it, but that was after 7 days. And I said to myself,
these guys need to be
if that stuff
quelled.
happens again, we've got to make faster decisions because they don't want to do it. The radical left, it's usually radical left, and it's usually governors that are Democrat, and they don't want to call them in. They don't want to save lives. They don't want to save property. They don't want to call them in. I don't know what it is.
Okay, so the mayor, we're going to watch the press conference from her. Newsom is like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't do this shit. Get the National Guard out of here. Newsom is suing Trump and Hegseth, and Trump and Tom Homan are calling for Newsom's arrest. So that'll be fun.
Not early. We sent him in late as far as I'm concerned. But big problems, as you know, 3 nights ago, big problems were ensuing. If we didn't send in the National Guard quickly, right now, Los Angeles would be burning to the ground.
The Marines is, a lot of people think, an escalatory step, though. These are guys who fight wars. Are you at all concerned that things could get out of
Name
hand?
every
When
island
I see
nation.
people throwing concrete into cars, when I see people, the kind of people that I saw on your network doing danger to the police and to the military and to the National Guard, no, it's okay. You know, you start running out of people when you have 2,000 people from a National Guard standpoint. We have a very big military, but the National Guard, they needed a little extra help, and we sent them a little, and we did a great job last night. We had, well, you have a lot of cars go up in smoke, and
Dragon Soul, you know, you gotta like, no, I mean, look, the thing is, he doesn't give a shit about what is happening. He's looking for any way. He will always find a way to blame the Democrats, Joe Biden, or the radical left lunatic. Like, it's so dumb. Like, obviously dumb, but it's so frustrating, man.
flame, and you had a lot of bad scenes, but it was pretty minor by comparison. This morning it's very calm. We'll see what happens later. But they know if they go there, they're not going to get anywhere because we have the National Guard there. We backed it up with a number of Marines, yeah.
Mr. President, do you agree with Governor Abbott soon signing legislation to mandate the 10 Commandments in school classrooms?
Having to do with what?
Governor Abbott is soon going to sign legislation to mandate displays of the 10 Commandments in school classrooms. Do you support him?
What? I have to take a look at it. I'm going to have to look at it.
Will the National Guard be in California? And
would you mind expanding on what like people? I'm not here to like say you're wrong about his reputation in Europe. I'm just curious, like what the main contentions are with him in Europe. Just pure curiosity.
Indefinitely. How long will they be there until you think?
Until there's no danger. It's easy. Look, it's common sense. You ask me that question. When there's no danger, they'll leave. You would have had a horrible situation had I not sent them in. Horrible. You'd be reporting on
He's
a
good
lot
at
of death and a
nicknames.
lot
I'll
of
give him
destruction
that.
that's not going to take place. I think if you look, every night it got less and less. They were met with very strong force, the bad people, the bad, sick people that do what they do.
Like,
but these are
I'd rather have Sleepy than like the Iron Fist authoritarian fucko.
paid people in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases. And they really are, they're agitators.
I was wondering if you had any response to Mexican President Sheinbaum, who condemned the violence there. Have you been in touch with her at all?
Said what?
I was wondering if you had any response
give up.
to
Is
what
that a
Mexican President
option
Claudine
here?
Sheinbaum said in response.
What'd she say?
She condemned the violence in LA.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah. Have you been in touch with her at all?
Well, you think I don't condemn it? I condemn the violence in LA, ladies and gentlemen, but I also stopped the violence in LA.
Oh my God. You see the video of the news reporter that got shot by a rubber bullet?
And by doing what I did, I stopped the violence in LA. And that would have been, I think, maybe I'd ask Christie to speak to that. That would have been an unbelievable tragedy. We would be talking, I don't know that would even be here right now. It would have been so bad. I'd probably maybe be out there. I don't know. But Christie, could you speak to that?
Absolutely. So in 2020, I was a governor of a neighboring state to Tim Walz and watched him let his city burn. And the president and I have talked about this in the past, and he was not going to let that happen to another city and to another community where a bad governor made a bad decision. So Claudia Sheinbaum came out and encouraged more protests in LA, and I condemn her for that. She should not be encouraging violent protests that are going on. If people are allowed to peacefully protest, but the violence that we're seeing is not acceptable, and it's not going to happen in America. This president is standing up for the average American who wants to walk their child to school every day safely, run their small business, and provide for their families. That's the action that he's taken. He has every authority under the Constitution to send these National Guard under Title X into these communities and make sure that operations go smoothly, that law enforcement officers are protected, that they can continue to do their work without fear of being injured or killed or disrespected, and that they can go home to their families at night. So I'm incredibly proud of the president for activating the National Guard and for sending in these Marines, because these Marines are specifically trained to meet the need that we have on the ground in LA right now. And Governor Newsom has done a disservice to the state of California for many years. The people there should never elect him into a leadership position ever again. He
The governor's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. When it comes to his railroad that he's building, where it's like 30 times over budget, nobody's ever seen anything like it.
What's this? Yes, I've seen this. Wait, what?
Country.
Bravo 6, going dark.
Defeating the radical left, the Marxists.
Okay, never mind.
agitators,
Googly sent a
the
different version of
anarchists.
this.
With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will liberate America from these villains once and for all. As my first order of business, I hereby declare martial law.
You have to take out their families. When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families.
He's a killer. A lot of killers. There are a lot of killers. Well, you think our country's so innocent?
Death penalty.
All right, I get it. I'm done. I can't. Oh, hey, Googly, welcome.
Now it doesn't even go to San Francisco and LA. It's way short of it. After years of work and overruns like nobody's, those contractors are some of the wealthiest people in the world, I guarantee you that. Because that money goes to those contractors. They just did a number on the wallet of the people of California. That train, you should look at that train.
Oh, come on.
That is the greatest. I've never seen cost overruns. I've seen cost overruns and great incompetence over my life. I've never seen anything like that.
Mr. President, these protests obviously
Soup
started in
food guests
reaction
were
to
then
these
scrambled.
large-scale ICE operations in Los Angeles. Should people expect to see similar operations in the rest of the country?
Yeah.
And will similar protests see similar response?
As you know, we're moving murderers out of our country that were put here by Biden or the auto pen. The auto pen really did. I mean, the people, whether it's Lisa Monaco or whoever operated the auto pen, these are criminals. The people are criminals that allowed these criminals into our country. And I don't think that Biden knew what the hell he was doing. I don't think he even knew about it. But when they opened up our borders for the whole world to come in, yeah, we're going to get them out. We're getting them out. We're starting to get acknowledgement from the courts that, you know, as a system.
The main reasons Biden's reputation is kind of met in Europe, at least according to economists and politicians, because with aggressive policy maneuvers regarding the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, we were shitting in our pants, at the thought of a war between Russia and us. Not that we're safe now, but back in 23, the atmosphere was tense. I can understand that. It's funny because a lot of the attitude here is that, I mean, some people say he was too soft on Russia. Some people wanted more funding. I think there was probably room. I'm not as well read on the history of just different policy things. There could have been better coordination between Europe and the U.S. on what to do about the situation in Ukraine, but now it's kind of flipped where it seems like Europe's a lot more I don't want to say hawkish, but more supportive of Ukraine than the U.S. is. Because I would be surprised, very surprised, and I don't believe Putin would go nuclear. I don't think. I mean, you had France saying, we want to put troops on the ground in Ukraine. Well, you guys are building up your biting strength. Like, European defense spending is on the up and up. Let's thank France and Germany. Rare French W. I think James May said it best. France is a country you have to drive through to get to Italy. I think that's pretty funny, but anyways.
They come in without courts and they go out. They want trials and everything else. I think that's starting to work out now. Judges are starting to see what a terrible situation it is. Many of those people that you saw on television last night are criminals that were allowed into our country by Biden, and they want to stay, and we don't want them. And they come from jails, and they come from mental institutions, and they come from all over the world, not just South America. And we're not going to let them stay. And this is the first, perhaps, of many, or perhaps, you know, if we didn't attack this one very strongly, you'd have them all over the country. But I can inform the rest of the country that when they do it, if they do it, they're going to be met with equal or greater force than we met right here. We did a great job. The people, you, Christy, and Tom Homan, and all of the people, Pete Hegseth.
Is Italy not bumping up their defense spending? I thought that was kind of a, not like uniform, but kind of the attitude around Europe. And you guys, your new prime minister, president, kind of seems a little more national. Just so you know, if a nuclear reaction in southern France, true, that is true. But nuclear technology has come, or nuclear energy technology has come so far. Like, it's not like it was in, like, Chernobyl or anything like that. I think it's, like, a near zero possibility that ever happens.
All of the people involved did an amazing job. We stopped a disaster. And it looks like a planned disaster, not just, this didn't just happen. They had weapons, they had tools, they had everything you needed. I mean, they were throwing iced water in bottles, in glass bottles, at officers and at soldiers. These are...
Glass bottles? I didn't see that. I saw people throwing water bottles, but I did not see glass bottles.
Not use the word insurrection, but you could also use the word, these are very dangerous people, they're bad people. They were met with heavy force and they folded. And they may be there a little bit tonight, they may be there a little bit, but it seems to be getting less and less because they're going there and they're met with a very heavy force. And if they weren't, you would have that.
To my knowledge, the protests have been increasing in scale. Maybe people have work today. I don't know. We'll see. We'll look into it. New York Times has a thing that's tracking the timeline of it. But we can. Again, we got all day, so.
That city right now would be on fire.
This
It
looks
would be
great.
burning down. The rest of it, what's left over, because the other fire was started because they wouldn't allow water into LA. They wouldn't allow water into California because they had it all shifted out to the Pacific Ocean, and I turned it around. And
Honestly,
I told
might
them
be
to
a
do it in
rare
my first
UKW.
term, and
No.
they didn't do it. We had COVID, and they didn't do it. And I told them to do
Jelly
it. We did it in a
slice.
second. Now we have billions of gallons of water flowing down. But Newsom should have done this. He's an incompetent man, an incompetent governor. Okay, any other question?
Mr. President, do you have any message to adversaries as the Army kicks off 250-year
Ooh,
birthday
we
celebration?
I just think it's
named over the
amazing. We're going to have a
average.
fantastic June 14th parade, Flag Day.
Oh yeah, we're also having a military parade. How fucking crazy is that? These two events being so close, just cosmic coincidence maybe, or really a sign of the direction we're headed.
It's going to be an
Holy
amazing
fuck.
day. We have tanks, we have planes, we have all sorts of things.
A little gimme
And
scramble.
I think it's going to be great. We're going to celebrate our country for a change. You know, recently, as you know, with World War II, the victory of World War II, I called up France and they were celebrating the victory.
Burnt ass hot dog.
Well, we helped them a lot, as you know. I don't have to get into that. But I called up other countries. They were all celebrating the victory. We're the only country that didn't celebrate the victory. And we're the one that won the war.
Come on.
Okay, if it wasn't for us, that war, you would be speaking
That war
German
would have
right now,
never
okay?
have happened if we were in. If I was in power in 1939, that never would have happened. They never would have invaded Poland. Fuck. He was thinking about defaulting to the playbook. Fuck off. Yeah, peace in our time, my ass.
War II, I called up France.
Hold on.
And I think it's going to be great. We're going to celebrate our country for a change. You know, recently, as you know, with World War II, the victory of World War II, I called up France and they were celebrating the victory. Well, we helped them a lot, as you know. I don't have to get into that. But I called up other countries. They were all celebrating the victory. We're the only country that didn't celebrate the victory. And we're the one that won the war. Okay, if it wasn't for us, that war, you would be speaking German right now, okay? We won the war, and you might be speaking Japanese too. I mean, you might be speaking a combination of both. We won the war, and we're the only country that didn't celebrate it. And we're going to be celebrating big on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protester wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest,
The reason I said sad is because there's planned protests across the country. And Lev Parnaset. What? Wait. Context around what you just said? What?
they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but, you know, this is people that hate our country, but they will be met with very heavy force. And thank you very much, everybody.
Gotcha.
Thank you very much.
Wait, Bannon? Is it Bannon? Or Lev?
Thank you.
You guys keep moving. Thank you, everybody.
Lev Parnas, okay. Well, that was exactly what you'd fucking expect. Awesome. What else we got? We can do the mayor. Instead of flexing a victory from 80 years ago, he should find a way to manage the homeless. Yeah, you would think. But no, he's having a military parade on his birthday, flexing about World War II, and sending in the Marines on citizens. Or just, like, protesters. Yeah. You're in good company here, Dragon Souls. Oh my god. What might be the most? Let's do Pete Smegma. Pete Smegma.
I don't want to repeat. I don't
This
want
guy
you
looks-
or your colleagues at the Department of Defense to have to operate under a CR again for the coming year. I know the difficulties that places on you. Every member of this committee
Chudberger.
knows that. You've got my commitment. We're going to work hard to avoid that this year. But again, we need some help from all concerned in the
All right,
process
that wasn't
to
bad.
achieve that goal. And almost no one, again,
Any
as I
other
said,
dailies I'm
liked the way
missing?
the process ended.
Or can I
But
play
we
Euro
owe it to
or
the men and women
American
in
Truck
uniform to
Simulator?
get this right. It'll require collaboration with the department to inform and produce a product that will meet that goal. I look forward to being your partner in that effort. And again, I want to thank you for being here today. And again, I want to thank you for your extraordinary service to this country before you assumed this position. I think that's one of the reasons why we've done as well recruiting, is people that are thinking about putting on the uniform of the United States have confidence in you because you've made that decision and you served this country with distinction before you ever came on this post.
let's
And
do a
leading
little
by
bit of an
example is an important
overview
thing, and I want to
of
thank you
the-
for the example you set for men and women to wear the uniform of the United
Yeah,
States.
this was
With
my
that, again, welcoming your
Countries
first
of
appearance, and we
Africa
look forward to
thing
hearing your
from
testimony. Yield back,
yesterday. I
Mr.
was
Chairman.
Thank you, Mr.
curious.
Chairman. I'd like to now turn to the ranking member
I'm
of the full
pissed I
committee,
missed
Mr. Laro,
Guinea,
for any opening.
Guinea-Bissau.
Thank you so
I
much, Chairman
was
Calvin and
spent
Ranking
so
Member
long
McCollum,
trying to spell
and always
Seychelles.
to, again, my dear friend, the chairman of the committee. We've worked together for many years in producing,
Pretty-
I believe,
pretty proud of this.
bipartisan
It's not
appropriations
bad.
bills, and it's our attempt to be able to do that this go-round as well.
Anyways.
Thank you for holding this oversight hearing on President Trump's Department of Defense. To our witnesses, Secretary Hegseth, Chairman Kane, Ms. McDonald, welcome
this
to
is
the
pretty
House of
quiet.
Representatives, and thank you for appearing before us today. Defense
Also, any audio balancing stuff, feel free to give input on, because, you know, it's a back and forth. The worst crime that this admin has commit, in light of everything, is their audio mixing capabilities.
Defense is the largest portion of our discretionary budget. Yet, you have still not sent this committee a complete budget request. We are in mid-June, Mr. Secretary. We are marking up a defense funding bill in a few hours. And yet, we have no idea what your department actually needs. We have no details as to how you want to implement your plans. We should be discussing how you plan to get our submarine programs in order, how the Black Hawk platform will be utilized into the future, and how you plan to improve our service members and their families' quality of life. It is unacceptable for us to move forward with a defense funding bill without this information, and it is regrettable that the administration has put us in this position. If we cannot complete this process on time, we risk yet another continuing resolution, which is wasteful, inefficient, and detrimental to our military readiness. Already, your methods for funding our nation's defense programs are as unwise
some
as they are
fires there.
unprecedented. You backed the first full-year continuing resolution for the Department of Defense. Particularly defense has always...
Actually, we can come back to this. Let's do this really quick. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. But I'm late. I was late today, so I wanted to go live as quickly as possible. Should have put together a full docket, you know. Okay.
Of raids.
There we go. All right. There we go. All right. Sorry. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Just to catch you up on where we are today. As of now, we have not received words of raids. I think you all understand that the city is not notified when ICE goes to a workplace. And what we rely on, frankly, is
People
reporting
that
from
set
the
that
community,
fire
especially the
probably
immigrant
gonna
rights
be arrested.
organizations that have formed the Rapid Response Network.
They're
That is
really
usually
capitalizing
how
on
we
burning
hear
cars.
about
The fuck? Yeah, I mean, they're autonomous driving cars. They're called from a company called Waymo. I know. They shouldn't be burning cars. I'm fully in agreement with that. But the point more so is the people that are burning cars are being arrested, and there's no need to call in the National Guard. Yeah, no, I love the idea of autonomous cars. I actually had a dream where I was in an autonomous car, and I was like, holy fuck, this is sick. But, yeah.
A raid taking place. As far as we know, there might be one rally today, but we don't believe there's going to be a series of them, and we don't have a lot of information about that one rally. I do want to say that at 6 o'clock tonight, though, there will be an interfaith prayer vigil of which I will
Aside
be
from
honored
that,
to
it's
attend.
mostly peaceful.
And it will be
Fire
at
got
6
put out.
o'clock, calling for peace, calling for unifying our community, calling for supporting immigrant Angelenos. So let me just say now, commenting about last night, the violence we saw last night, there is just no way to view it as unacceptable. So I do not believe that individuals that commit vandalism and violence in our city really are in support of immigrants. They have another agenda. If you support immigrants and the rights of immigrants to be in our city, you would not be tearing the city apart or vandalizing it. And I do want to say, especially for our national audiences, that those of us in Los Angeles understand
Oh
that
yeah,
the
no,
unrest that has
I
happened
think it'd be so cool.
are a few blocks with.
I mean, like, yeah, no. Side note, and I'll never. I've never been to Phoenix. I've heard it's hot as hell, but I'll never miss an opportunity to take a dig at Musk. Even now, him claiming the robo-taxis are some crazy innovation is stupid because Waymo already exists. Yeah, anyways.
In the downtown area. It is not all of downtown, and it is not all of the city. Unfortunately, the visuals make it seem as though our entire city is in flames, and it is not the case at all. And I think it's important to say that. Now, having said that, though, the violence and the damage is unacceptable. It is not going to be tolerated, and individuals will be arrested and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And no individual that is involved in vandalism should think because they went home that night that they're off scot-free, because investigations will take place, and I am assured by the police department that there will be follow-up and arrests. The extensive vandalism downtown,
true. I guess Phoenix is a
especially
dry heat mostly.
That is just blanketing a number of blocks has been extensive. We are 1 year away from the World Cup. This is about beautifying our city and bringing our city together. And so I am calling on business leaders, community leaders, faith leaders to come together downtown in the next few days to talk about how we are going to clean up the city. Obviously, city workers are already
I need to
out
turn
there
down the music
removing
here,
the graffiti, but this is so
'cause I
extensive,
can't even
it's
hear
gonna
her.
take community-wide involvement. We had launched a program
It is a
called
banger,
Shine
though.
LA a couple of months ago in preparation for the World Cup, and now we are called on to direct that citywide. We need people from all over the city to come to downtown and to help with this effort. The staff, the mayoral staff,
Oh, yeah,
standing
the
behind me,
drying out of
represent
the
the
eyes
best
is
of our
brutal.
organizers and community liaisons, and they will be leading that effort. I do want to go back and say that, just go back in time a minute. On Thursday of last week, Los Angeles was peaceful. There was nothing going on here that warranted the federal intervention that took place the very next day. If we want to look at the cause of what is happening here, I take it back to raids
Stay
that took
hydrated,
place on
fellas.
Friday, and the uncertainty and the fear and the fact that families across the city are terrified that they don't know if they should go to work, they don't know if they should go to school. We have people that were detained.
All right, today's the day
don't
we hit
even
100
know the
miles an
exact
hour in a
numbers
truck.
of the people that were detained.
That's
we
the
have
goal.
people that have not had contact with legal representation, nor have they even had contact with their families. And so there is an awful lot of concern. When the administration started, they said that this was about crime. They were going to go after violent felons, drug
True.
dealers, and I
But,
don't know
like,
how that matches with the scenes that we saw.
Isn't like one of
people
the
in Home
main
Depot
survival
running through
advice
the parking
things,
lot
don't
because
ration
they were
water too
afraid that
much?
They were going to get arrested. You are talking about people who are trying to survive day by day, which is what a day laborer is doing, and why they would be considered as part of a problem as opposed to contributing to our economy is very difficult for me to understand. We've also received reports of people who were here
Yeah, that's
legally,
fucked.
who were showing up for their annual appointment at the immigration office, and
That's
maybe even
that's
showing
kind
up
of
with their
universal
family
though. Any
and getting
sporting
detained.
stadium
This
is going to
just
charge you
absolutely unnecessary.
insane
People
prices.
have asked me, what are the Marines going to do when they get here? That's a good question. I have no idea. The National Guard that are here now have one
Wool?
assignment, and that is to protect
That's nice.
one building. which is the federal building.
But what about like
downtown.
the tap
The
water
second
in Cal,
building,
or
which
not
is the
Cal?
federal building on Westwood Boulevard. And as far as I know, nothing has happened
Italy.
in Westwood at all.
So I drank it,
This
and
was not
it's
needed.
fine. in
The
Italy,
idea
but-
that the administration would usurp the authority of our state government, take it away from our governor, Gavin Newsom.
Ignore that.
The governor knows that if we put a request in for the National Guard and it went to him, he would comply. There was never an issue there because we were never thinking about calling upon the
That's the
National
thing,
Guard.
right?
So I do want you to know that the violence that has
Yeah.
happened has
Really?
required
I
LAPD
didn't know
to
that.
ask for additional assistance, but not from the federal government. We are a county of 88 cities. There's a number of police
All right,
departments
texting and
in
driving
those cities,
simulator,
and
let's
we
go.
have the sheriff's department, and so we have received assistance from the California Highway Patrol. I mentioned
Also,
the
for some
sheriffs
reason,
from Orange
this game
County, San
bangs on
Bernardino,
TikTok
Riverside, Santa
Live.
Barbara, Ventura County, and a number of law
You just can't
enforcement
get enough.
departments,
That's some great
around the
content.
county.
You can watch
So
me
with
play
them
this on
being
TikTok
fully
later.
deployed now, we're establishing a unified command under LAPD and Chief McDonnell, which will accelerate our ability to respond to hotspots when people splinter off and create pockets of trouble. So I do want to thank all the officers who've been working tirelessly and putting themselves at risk to
No,
keep our
it's a
city
huge
safe.
insult. I completely
but the
agree
real
with you.
solution of all of this is for the administration to stop
And I
raids.
also
We have heard that these raids might take place for the next
I
30
know how
days.
much a liter
We don't know
is.
how many are going to take
I got
place
my
in a given day.
2.5
And you
liter
just
water
think
bottle.
about the
I drink
disruption
2 of a
to
day.
families and the disruption to our local
Creatine.
economy. You might have a mother who goes to work in someone's home doing childcare or taking care of the household. A father who is the gardener or doing landscaping, people who are working in factories, and people without documents.
I don't know
who are
what
running
if you watch
small
any
businesses,
sport
contributing
in
to
or like go to any sports in Italy, but what do they charge at stadiums there?
our economy in every step of the way. So I just want to conclude by saying we are 12 months away from the World Cup. We need the administration to help us prepare. They are talking about spending over $100
Ramming
million
speed.
with this deployment, which is why I say that I feel like we've all been in Los Angeles,
Take the
a
racing
part of a
line.
grand experiment to see what happens when the federal government decides they want to roll up on a state or roll up on a city and take over. So with that, I would open it up for questions, of which Zach will manage.
Thanks, Mayor Bass. I know that you're saying that some of the violence that we've seen, the chaos later in the evenings, that it's only limited to a few streets, but it does seem to be ramping up. There was a lot of looting last night, spreading to other parts.
That's if you
of
want to put a
downtown LA.
positive
I know
spin
you
on
said
it,
that
yeah.
The solution is to stop the raids, but the federal government has said that's not going to happen. What is your plan to bring calm to the city?
Well, first of all,
Is it-
when I
oh,
say a
I
few
thought it was
streets, I
bigger
don't mean
ratio.
that to mean like it's very small, because the vandalism, especially the
And
graffiti,
it's
has happened kind of
5,280
outside of
feet.
that. But
Does that make
nevertheless,
sense?
I'm trying to counter the image that this is happening all over our city, because it is not. And
We're already
so
at
we
90
do
miles
want
an hour.
law
Holy
enforcement to respond aggressively. Anybody that is out committing crimes are not doing it in solidarity with immigrants. They are doing the exact
3.75,
opposite. So
yeah.
we have to enforce the law here. I'm going to continue advocating with the federal government, though, to see how disruptive this is. But there needs to be a call that says
Oversized
this
truck
is
going Mach.
unacceptable, and if you engage in this behavior,
You
will
miss
be
gallons?
prosecuted. Now,
Really?
we're looking at things like curfews. We're looking at other
Like 4 liters a
aggressive
day is a pretty
response that we can
easy
have
goal.
in case
Like,
this violence breaks out.
or at least the
Do you think
calculus
there
of
will
it
be a
is.
curfew, and wouldn't you say that the LAPD is being aggressive?
Well, I do think that they are, but I do think that we need to be in terms of prevention. And I don't mean aggressive in terms of engaging with the crowd, but there's things that you can do to prevent. So I had a brief conversation with the chief this morning about a curfew. So we will be meeting about that later on today.
Yeah,
And
they've been
that's
doing
the type of
curfews for a
aggressive
while
tactic.
now, haven't they? Or not, I guess not curfews, but they said for some of the earlier protests, all right, any protest beyond now is considered unlawful, go home. They arrested some people.
The new information this minute. Go
They
ahead.
don't sell gallons of Fanta, do they? Oh, no. That's wild
Well,
that
that
they do.
doesn't
I
mean
haven't
that I
seen
will
that.
stop. You know that. I'm not going to give up. But on the other hand, you
I know
just
they
said
sell,
60
like-
days. Somebody else is going to
Okay,
say 30.
I'll-
Somebody's going to say 90. The bottom line is we don't know.
I believe
and that
you.
is consistent with ICE raids, of course. We never know when. We never know how long. But that
man,
very notion creates such a terrible
That's fine.
sense of fear
That's fine.
in our city. And it's
That's
just
fine.
not right to do that to a population who's trying
That's
to
fine.
survive. We are a city of immigrants.
Shit.
Right. No, I think that was money, as I understand
think
it,
I'm gonna
that
have to
they
call
were
a tow
going to
truck.
spend on the troop mobilization. Maybe that's what you're referring to. They don't need to spend it themselves. So I could not even imagine that they would come here and ask us to reimburse their
$500 to get me out of
unnecessary
that. What a
Just
deal.
imagine what we could do with $130 million in terms of preparing our city for the World Cup.
Oh, brother.
Exactly. No, LA cannot afford it. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
No, that is correct, but Julia, at this point in time, that would be really early. Oh, okay. Where are you going?
What? How's it not?
Let me just. I'm sorry. You finished.
Oh, I had to replace the engine. That's fine.
I was worried about that before the ice raids. I mean, that is a worry. I mean, you know, the theme of the administration is uncertainty. And so I have been very hopeful, and you know this, in terms of the fires and the cooperation we received from the federal government, working well with the administration, and now the pendulum has swung in a whole nother area.
The Diamondbacks win when you went?
Well, you know what it would mean. I mean, you know that we came off of a very difficult budget year, but you also, it's very important to understand that it takes FEMA a long time. We're still looking for some reimbursements from COVID.
Trailer damage 52%. I'm going to make no money on this. Damn, that's a surprise. Who are they playing? Just got, as long as we take it wide, we'll be all right.
With LAPD?
Turn.
No,
right.
well,
It's a
yeah,
guide
let me just
rail
say that,
for a
I
reason.
have been,
Boom,
close
see?
coordination has not been necessary right now, but I have
Fair
been
enough.
in conversation
Yeah,
with
you're good,
Superintendent Cavallo. We spoke the other day, and what he is deciding to do, I know he's deciding to protect the children. You know that a month ago or 2 months ago, ICE agents showed up to an elementary school to do a welfare check on some kids. It's very interesting that you would send federal officers in to check on elementary school kids. But I know he's also dealing with the fear
welfare
from the
checks?
parents. So, for
That
example,
seems-
at
that
my
doesn't pass
grandson's
the
school
smell test
yesterday,
at
there was
all.
ice that was visible, and you have parents who are dropping off and picking up their kids. How do you think they feel? You know, I mean, it's a sense of intimidation and fear that is just so unnecessary and so corrosive to our city.
I don't know much about the LA mayor, to be completely frank, but seems pretty salient what's being said here.
No. I
It
can't
also sucks we
imagine
can't
that
hear
there
the
would be a
fucking
conflict
questions.
between local and federal police from the LAPD perspective. That will not happen. No, I do not. I mean,
I don't.
talked
What
to
are
the
we meant to
chief an
glean
hour
from
ago.
this?
No, we're not notified of anything. You know, I will tell you that Saturday night, when there was definitely some vandalism downtown, not what happened in the morning, which was in Paramount, but downtown Saturday night, and the president tweeted out that it was because he sent in the National Guard that the violence was stopped. And he congratulated the National Guard.
Let
on
me
Saturday.
finish this delivery,
The
then
National
I'll
Guard didn't arrive in the
click that
scene
link.
until
If it's
Sunday.
porn, then you got me. No, is it the game? Gotcha. What's this link you sent the game?
Absolutely not. I mean, my guess is
First
that
Rangers.
you
Okay.
have social
Yeah.
media.
I guess. Oh, really? You're gonna freeze on me now? Gotcha. Alright. Just give me a second here. As long as I, go
Rights movement are not concerned about
30 over,
immigrants,
I'll be all
are
right.
concerned about wrecking havoc, and our immigrant rights organizations that have been institutions, well-established, well-respected institutions in our city for decades, are used to doing protests. They are very well organized and coordinated, and they don't tolerate the violence. Yesterday's demonstration that was put on by labor, especially in solidarity with David Huerta, they had a system there where they wouldn't let people in a certain area if they had a mask on.
Okay.
My point is that we know how to
Were the
take care of
D-backs
these
good
issues
last year?
ourselves.
Hey,
And then
fuck.
when you said about
Last year specifically, I took like a break from paying attention to baseball. Holy fuck, and the AP gets some working cameras. Holy shit. These motherfuckers.
art is doing, drive by the federal building. They are stationary at the federal building, protecting the building. They are not out doing crowd control or anything like that. So I don't know how he could say that the national.
Yeah, we do. So what, this was an October 9th game? Okay, I'm not getting paid anything for this fucking job. And it's... probably save this game for September. Okay. So, okay. I thought you were saying you typed it in European format, not in proper... No, I'm kidding, obviously. We do things a little goofy here. I'll agree.
On Friday, I was notified when the raids were happening. I was notified, there were 3 raids in the city of Los Angeles. There might have been some others I've heard about that were outside of the city that day. And I heard about it when the Rapid Response Network began notifying people that a raid was taking place. And then at that point, the family members know, hey, my son, my father, my spouse is working at this place.
Oh, God,
and
this
then
is
they
going to be
start
tough up here.
so that's when I heard about it. And then shortly after that, you began hearing from the administration. The National Guard issue came into play on Friday as well as Saturday. That's when I was talking to officials with the Trump administration, including Tom Holman. I spoke to him maybe about an hour before he said if I got out of line or the governor did, we'd both be arrested.
Calling for the arrest of the mayor and the governor,
Right.
like, obviously unhinged, but, like, remember, there was all this, like, no, you can't call him a fascist, that's obviously, like, inflammatory, it doesn't apply
I appreciate
at
that
all.
question. Ironically, the IOC
what else is
was
there
here
to
last
say
week.
about it?
And so I met with
At
them
this
directly.
point?
We did
How is
a
this
panel
not
with them,
fascistic
and we
or
were
even
talking
dictatorial?
then about how vast our city is, and how if something happens in one area, it doesn't mean it's happening all around the city. So it's a little ironic we were having that conversation.
I think
I
federal-
have not talked to them directly since then. Needless to say, my focus has been on keeping.
Did you see the video of the guy at the Eminem concert doing sign language? That was some Kakashi Hatake, what's that? That's like the 6-minute part of, the original Naruto, where he's summoning that water dragon to,
What I'm thinking is yes, because there's
counter-
no need for it to be
fuck, what's
anything
his
other
name?
than that. It's just
One of the
important
Seven
to reiterate
Swordsmen.
that what is happening is not happening. It's not even happening in the entire downtown.
Stay on the road, brother.
So there would be no need
Awesome.
for a citywide
See?
curfew. But again,
What are you doing?
Just preliminary
Zabuza, yeah.
discussions. It's one thing to say a curfew, then you have to enforce it.
One of the best moments of Naruto is when they bring Zabuza back when he gets reanimated, and he's like, hey, how's that kid doing? I was like, oh, that was sweet. What the fuck is this? Okay. Fuck. Okay. Let me click on this.
Brief 2-game series brief
wow.
World Series rematch between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Texas Rangers. Game 1 of
He
that
almost got
series is tonight.
manhandled.
A very important stretch of baseball for the
Wait,
Diamondbacks.
who did?
where
Zabuza
it
or
is nip
Kakashi?
and tuck, and it is tight, and it is close. 4 teams separated by 2 games in the loss column. 3 of them are going to get in. 1 of them aren't. Pitching matchup for today, and it's a good one. It's a rematch of Game 1 of the World Series, of Game 5 of the World Series. Zach Gallen coming off.
Ito Tensei. Yeah, I mean, when you make unkillable fuckers.
Was perfectly framed and was a strike. Okay, so now Ketel Marte. Marte switches
Yeah.
to the left side, and he takes strike 3 call.
All right, so at the very end here, what we're looking at.
Here we go, back-to-back 2-out hits, a single and a double, second and third. And what do you do with Ketel Marte? You got first base open, but then again, Jock Peterson's on deck behind him.
Truck Simulator's not a good game for streaming, I don't think.
Swung on and a bouncing ball hit second. Charged by Simeon. Little flip to
Oh,
low.
damn, yeah, this
The
was
inning.
a
No runs,
blowout.
2 hits.
Marcus Pavin Smith. Pavin down the line, and it's on the line for a base hit. Pavin Smith.
So, nice. So the final score 6-0. God damn. Yeah, that's a sweep.
He's been opposed to moving in that direction
And
because of
in
the
the meantime, we're
uncertainty
gonna do
that a continuing
some
resolution
research
portends for defense and for the defense and reconciliation process instead of regular appropriations to fund vital programs. The appropriations process is wherein lies the power of the purse, according to the U.S. Constitution.
Congress.
However, this is still an essential opportunity for oversight, and the Department of Defense under your leadership is in desperate need of it. Your tenure as Secretary has been marked by endless chaos. Your first day in office, the Inspector General, whose job is to investigate waste, fraud, and abuse, was fired. Weeks later, you dismissed the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and 5 other admirals and generals. Your careless sharing of military secrets in a non-secure signal chat, which could have placed American airmen in danger, led to the firing of former National Security Advisor Waltz. You have directly fired several of your top advisors, and the ranks of civilian staff have been decimated within key agency posts, including the Defense Health Agency and the Missile Defense Agency. Mr. Secretary, of all the cabinet departments, stability at the Department of Defense is the most critical for Americans' safety and security. Going after waste in defense and an audit among contractors long overdue, as is a fresh look at defense after what we learned in Ukraine.
Friday?
But that requires thoughtfulness and cooperation, not rash and reckless purges of leadership and rank-and-file staff. And firings based on political loyalty are an affront to what our Constitution and our military stands for and depends on. Meanwhile, this administration has done seemingly everything possible to alienate America on the world stage and turn our back on our allies, particularly Ukraine. Our belligerent trade wars and the dismantling of our humanitarian mission all have implications.
I mean, isn't the average age in Congress like 60 or 70 something?
For our national security. Why would anyone trust us or partner with us when we are busy undermining our allies' economies and encouraging China to fill the vacuum we are leaving by abandoning our humanitarian mission? The bags of flour that I've seen on foreign soil that say U.S. AID, U.S. product of the United States of America will be gone, and instead will be replaced by China,
so 50 in the
or
Senate,
Russia,
in the House,
or Iran.
60-ish.
Conflicts around the world that President Trump promised he would resolve overnight are only escalating. While we need to focus and prepare for threats to freedom and democracy worldwide, the Department of Defense is mired in controversy and chaos. The American people expect, deserve, and demand better from their military leadership, and the lawlessness across the government must end. This administration has unlawfully dismantled agencies and stolen funding across the government to give billionaires a tax break. America's future soldiers are learning in our public schools. Our future sailors might rely on Medicaid to see a doctor. Our future airmen and women might only have a meal to eat because of SNAP or food stamps, or they may live in subsidized housing. If tomorrow's service members are worried today about having their most basic needs met, then they are being held back from their fullest potential, and that weakens our national security. National security is not just machines and munitions.
We could just watch the highlights, I guess, from Forbes. They do.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Aguilar.
Thank you, Chairman General Calvert.
That's right.
Thanks to the witnesses for being here.
Yes, okay, Private, go ahead.
Is Medicaid appreciate across the country? What do you mean? Like, do people like Medicaid? People generally like Medicaid-ish. Like, it's always a talking point of we spend way too much on this, Medicaid and Medicare, but then any cuts to Medicaid or Medicare get super intense backlash. It's like, it's really tough if you want to touch it. So generally, yeah, it's pretty supported. Republicans will say we need to cut it, but then they won't actually do it. It's like Social Security. It's really tough if you want to do anything about it. It's like half-ass, super conditional public health care.
clock's still moving, Mr. Secretary, I want to express my severe concern with the deployment of the National Guard in Los Angeles without consultation of the state of California. There have been photographs that have shown these troops sleeping on the floor and have not been provided fuel, food, or water by DoD. How long will this deployment last, and why were we unprepared to provide them basic necessities such as food and water?
All right.
The commanders and troops on the field are very well prepared, sir. They responded incredibly rapidly to a deteriorating situation with equipment and capabilities. We have made sure from the top down, as a Secretary of Defense who's been in a unit holding riot shields outside the White House during the chaos of the summer of 2020, I know what it's like to be immediately deployed into a situation like that. There are moments where you make do as best you can temporarily, but we are ensuring they're housed, fed, water capabilities in real time from my office, because I care that much about the California Guard and the Marines and the men and women who are supporting our ICE agents on the ground. It's true every day, and that's a disingenuous attack that misrepresents how much we care about our troops and what they're doing to defend ICE agents. I'm not going to take the fact that we don't care about the troops. Nobody cares more about the troops at the top than this Secretary and the Chairman and our
How long will
department.
the deployment last?
We stated very publicly that it's 60 days because we want to ensure that those rioters, looters, and thugs on the other side assaulting our police officers know that we're not going anywhere. We're here to maintain the peace on behalf of law enforcement officers in Los Angeles, which Gavin Newsom won't do.
What is the estimated cost of the deployment for the Guard and the Marines to LA, and where's this funding coming from? Will it be coming from quality of life programs that affect our service members or our families? If you want to wait till I finish,
Before I hand it to
such as updates, housing and barracks.
Before I hand it to Bryn, the insinuation that we're pulling money from housing and barracks in order to fund this is disingenuous and incorrect. Bryn can give the numbers, absolutely.
So the current estimate.
Federal agents is in cool ass vehicles. Next time, bring the tanks. But no, you don't. I mean, yes, APCs look cool, but not against protesters, man. No.
Estimated cost is $134 million, which is largely just DDY cost, travel, housing, food, etc.
Where's it coming from? That's the cost, but where's it coming from?
Out of their O&M accounts.
With the most recent deployment of the Marines, Mr. Secretary, what's the justification?
So how goes the riots? Well, I don't know if I'd classify them as riots. There are rioters amongst the protesters. It's tough to, like, there's obviously some people that are burning and throwing and, you know, lighting off fireworks and shit. Those people are not peaceful protesters. I'm not going to defend that, obviously. But I'd say a large majority of them are peaceful, sitting down, saying, "We hate ICE." Well, don't pull it. Okay. I'm not saying everyone on Jan 6 was peaceful either, or not peaceful either. There were some peaceful people there on J6. I'm not going to say that. But the reason I say that there's some peaceful people and some rioters is because LAPD has been... Yeah, okay. I'm just saying, my point is LAPD was able to handle them, and you got me. I got baited. LAPD was handling them. They weren't even at 50% capacity, which is when they would call upon the National Guard, according to the guy. What happened on Jan 6? Have I missed something? I'm getting baited. I'm getting baited. Don't fall for the bait. Don't fall for the bait. I did. I read it. Okay. Basically, Jan 6 was 2020. 2021? 2021. A bunch of people stormed the Capitol building of the U.S., and a lot of them were breaking windows, looking for senators and Congress people, shouting, "Hang Mike Pence." The thing about it that's unique is that it was, well, one, an attack on our nation's capital, and second of all, that Trump incited it. Yeah, 10 USC. I know what I've read this. I read this the other day. Whenever the president considers unlawful obstructions, combinations, or assemblages of rebellion against the United States make it impracticable to enforce the laws of the United States in any state by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings. That is the line I am arguing. That's where I'm picking my battle, because LAPD was arresting people. They've made hundreds of arrests. They have a pretty strong presence there, and they were doing just fine arresting the people and who were throwing shit and breaking shit and burning shit. They were doing just fine. The justice system is not in tumult. Like, it's not like these people aren't going to be punished for it. So federalizing the National Guard under this is bullshit. To enforce the laws of the United States in any state by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings. They're enforcing the laws, as in, you break shit, you get arrested, you go to court, you go to jail, you go have a trial. If I'm not mistaken, Trump is not really a fan of the current judicial. You are very correct. That is also true. I'm saying it's still because he breaks the law a lot and they try and stop him, or just temporarily holding him from doing shit. He's been at odds with the justice system for a very long time, and they are swinging harder on him than they have against admins in the past. That is true, but he's also swinging harder against them, and it's a pretty flagrant disregard for the legal process of shit. So yeah. I think it's fair of them to be pretty aggressive against him, since he's being very aggressive against them. But I think Master Liberty disagrees with me on that. But my point here is, it's still quite practicable. Oh, brother, you have... I'm gonna let Master Liberty take this one, because I know he's got a lot to say about that. But what I'm saying is, it is really not impracticable to enforce the laws of the United States via the ordinary course of proceedings. So I think it is quite unnecessary to federalize the National Guard, because LAPD, the LA courts are doing fine. That's my read.
For using the military for civilian law enforcement purposes in LA, why are you sending warfighters to cities to interact with civilians?
Every American citizen deserves to live in a community that's safe, and ICE agents need to be able to do their job. They're being attacked for doing their job, which is deporting illegal criminals. That should happen in any city, Minneapolis or Los Angeles. And if they're attacked, that's lawless, and President Trump believes in law and order. So he has every authority, and he has done, mobilizing National Guard or active duty troops under U.S. code to protect federal agents in their job, which is exactly what we're doing, and we're proud to do it. We're proud to do it.
10 U.S.C. of the U.S. Code 12406 as a legal basis that the president used, cites 3 examples and circumstances for the Guard. Invasion by a foreign nation, rebellion or dangerous rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States, or the president is unable for regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Which authority is triggered here to justify the use?
I don't know. You just read it yourself, and people can listen themselves, but it sounds like all 3 to me. If you've got millions of illegals and you don't know where they're coming from, they're waving flags from foreign countries and assorting police officers and law enforcement officers, that's a problem.
The laws of the United States?
No, the governor of California is unable to execute the laws of the United States.
The president, you said
He's literally executing the laws of the United States by arresting the people doing crimes. Yeah, unbalanced power is a very bad sign, and it has been unbalanced for a long, long time. But now we're seeing a huge... Look, it's just that, yes, I understand. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I don't... It's tough to decide who gets to delineate it. Like, giving the courts the expertise role, that's... yeah. But then, what's the alternative? Some kind of technocracy where we just have... I don't know. The law should not have been written in this manner. Congress should do their damn job and be very fucking clear, not as nebulous. Nope, we just have constant fighting. Always. Yes, I'm agreeing with you, Master Liberty. I'm saying Congress needs to step up and do their fucking job. And no, and Dragon Soul, no, we do not have that, to my knowledge. They do? What do you mean they do?
The governor of the California has failed to protect his people along with the mayor of Los Angeles, and so President Trump has said he will protect our agents, and our Guard and Marines are proud to do it.
The law also says, Mr. Secretary, that the orders for these purposes shall be issued through governors of the states.
You and I both know that President Trump has all the authorities necessary, and thankfully he's willing to do it on behalf of the citizens of Los Angeles, on behalf of our ICE agents, and behalf of our country.
We've also pulled $1 billion for the border as well. So this just goes into the same fund, 134.
Congressman, what's the
134 million? I was asking Ms. McDonald. Okay. 134 million goes on top of the billion that's been pulled for.
So the funding that was pulled for this year was largely in FSRM, and in this budget we're actually looking to plus that funding back up to backfill that for our troops and for their families.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Valadeo.
Yeah, that's.
Thank you, Chairman.
It's obviously,
Thank you, Secretary.
like,
Thank you, General. Thank you, Mr.
rhetorically it sounds harsh, but that is kind of the. What the fuck? So this law applies to what, National Guards, people that are already federalized? Oh, we got.
Mr. Secretary, I plan to ask you some budget questions about the following: the cost of the Qatar plane, where the money from the Army's parade is coming from, or the National Guard deployments to the border, where that funding is coming from. I honor and celebrate the United States Army, but I'd like to know how much.
Thank you for the follow, Dragon Soul. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, brother. And you got to have the first organic use of my follow sounds of Biden blast. Started with the legislature to make sure executive no longer dependent. What are you talking about? Like independent regulatory agencies and stuff like that? You're welcome. We do enjoy our images here. We try and make it little funnies, as they say.
This parade is going to cost. I have sent the department letters on several occasions on this, and I'm still waiting for a response. But then something else happened this weekend, and it needs to be addressed, and that is the president's
could you expand or like suggest some reading to that effect? I know you have. Just give me the couple things. Sorry, there's so much going on.
and escalatory decision to deploy not only the National Guard troops to Los Angeles, but active duty Marines as well. Mr. Secretary, we're both from Minnesota. I was in the Twin Cities during the riots that followed the murder of George Floyd. Tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets for days. Governor Walz made the decision to call up the Minnesota National Guard. At no point did we need the citizens of Minnesota request that the Marines be deployed. Our state and local law enforcement, along with our National Guard, who have worked on crowd control, they were more than enough. They were more than capable of handling this situation. History has proven that law enforcement and the National Guard are more than capable of handling situations more volatile than what happened this weekend. We all see the continuous loops on TV, but this looks nothing like the George.
Well, yeah, but when I read it, they could set the rules for firing, which I think, yeah. But I think the extent of that is fired for cause. I don't know if it's like 100%. Well, there was that ruling about people under the like non-agency heads, which was a little odd. Legislature shouldn't control the staffing. They should be able to control the size-ish of a department, and not like the direct appointees probably, but they are they decide. Yeah, it's tough. I don't know what I don't even know what the solution would be. Maybe like a fourth branch. Well, that's what they call regulatory agencies. I don't know, some sort of like I guess they have in Italy someone who's like, hey, the balance of power here is really fucky. Why don't we do something about that? Yeah, it's I understand the purpose of regulatory agencies because Congress would get fuck all done if they tried to like do every single regulation. Yeah, I guess. It just impeachment means fucking nothing these days, apparently. So that's wonderful.
George Floyd protests or the Rodney King riots in Los Angeles in 1992.
Yes, that's... In Italian, it means almost the colloquial, whatever. Here it means like de facto or like semi, or like just not officially, but in form, I guess. So very close meaning, but they aren't even allowed to legislate on half of what they do. Yeah, well, we need some congressional oversight.
Secretary, this is a deeply unfair position to put our Marines in. Their service should be honored. It should not be exploited. The President has issued an executive order and talked about deploying troops across the country. Los Angeles County has 17,000 law enforcement personnel, and the state of California has 24,000 National Guard troops. So that's why the Los Angeles Chief Police to say, and I quote, the possible arrival of federal military forces in Los Angeles is absent a clear coordination, presents a significant logistical operational challenge for those of us who are charged with safeguarding the city, the end of his quote. As I mentioned before, in Minnesota, we train for those things together. So there's no need for the Marines to be deployed. So here are my budget questions, though. What is the current cost for what is taking place in California, and how is it going to affect this budget or the budget we're currently serving under? How much are these deployments going to cost for both the Marines and the National Guard? And what training or duties are not taking place because of these deployments? Where in your limited budget, sir, are you going to find, in the remainder of this fiscal year, are you going to pull the money to cover these deployments? What holes are being created?
No, I'm not I'm not arguing. I know we don't get to pick we don't get to pick what I guess the law is, but it is just a reality that enforcement of different laws ebbs and flows throughout time. You know, like if speed limits were harshly enforced, this country would crumble.
Well, Congresswoman, thank you for the question. You are right. We were both originally from Minnesota, which is why I recall 2020 quite well, when Governor Walz abandoned a police precinct and allowed it to be burned to the ground, and also allowed 5 days of chaos to occur inside the streets of Minneapolis. The police precinct, ma'am, was abandoned and burned to the ground. And because of that, the National Guard was eventually far too late mobilized. And President Trump recognizes a situation like that, improperly handled by a governor, like it was by Governor Walz, if it gets out of control, is a bad situation for the citizens of any location. So in Los Angeles, we believe that ICE, which is a federal law enforcement agency, has the right to safely conduct operations in any state and any jurisdiction in the country, especially after 21 million illegals have crossed our border under the previous administration. ICE ought to be able to do its job, whether it's Minneapolis or Los Angeles.
Limited time. I asked a budget
and they are
question.
being...
Could the Secretary...
Trust me, so are we. They're supposed to have a lot more authority than they currently do. It's supposed to be more akin to, in a sense, to more like a European Union thing, where it's a bunch of individual states with individual personalities, individual laws that has some degree of federal, unity, but yeah, think of it more as like EU, not individual countries. Like each state's its own EU country, but you have overarching EU law, I guess. But as it stands now, the federal government has grown and grown and grown, and state legislation is becoming less important by the day. Especially now. Yeah. No, I got you. There's still some shit. There's now legislation coming down the pipeline in a couple states regarding fucking chemtrails. Okay. Well, okay, but like that's kind of what we were supposed to be. We're supposed to have some, well, I mean, maybe not legally, but like economically, we decided, all right, we're going to have a lot of free trade throughout our states. There's going to be some federal law. The rest is up to you guys. Anything we haven't done federally, all up to you. That's true. I know. I got you. I'm just trying to draw like a comparison in a sense. I know. You guys really do enjoy going after each other. But it's a loose comparison. I'll but northern countries call us piggies? What? Right, exactly. Yep, that is... I got you. What is the... That's... White peas. What?
Terry, please address the budget. Thank you.
You asked about the situation in Los Angeles, and we believe
asked about
ICE
the budget.
agents should be allowed
I
to be
asked about
safe
the
in
budget,
doing
sir.
their operations, and we have deployed National Guard and the Marines to protect them.
So it's more like economically, I guess, then. I mean, Greece... I don't know. I used to know this shit. Yeah. Well, I gotcha. Bro, but why do they think people come to Europe? For Greece, I'm more sympathetic to that. But the amount of tourism that Italy and Spain and Portugal generate, and Greece too, but I mean, Greece did have a massive debt crisis. Which, we didn't get federally mandated labeling of purely domestic food until like the 1960s. Yeah, like what, with the FDA, I guess? Or just like Buy American? I don't. Elaborate, if you will.
In the execution of their duties, because we ought to be able to enforce immigration law in this country, unlike what Governor Walz did in 2020. There are 17,000 LAPD, you mentioned that. There would be 18,000 if not for the defund movement that folks like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have implemented.
If
the police chief said she was overwhelmed,
If the Secretary's not
so we
going to
helped.
ask the budgetary questions, I will yield back my time if the Secretary refuses to answer the budgetary questions I put before him. They're important. What training missions aren't happening? Where are you pulling the money from? And how are you planning this in the moving forward? These are budget questions that affect this committee and the decisions we're going to be making in a couple of hours. If you're not going to answer them, please let the chairman know, and I will take back my time, and I will.
Yeah, that Interstate Commerce Act or whatever it was has really... that one has grown upon itself and served as precedent for a ton of shit.
We'll yield it back to the
Mr.
chairman.
Secretary, I want to just let us know.
Well, you were mentioning that the interstate commerce was like precedent for something insane the other day.
What accounts you're pulling the money to fund?
Thankfully, unlike the previous administration, we've got a 13% increase in our defense budget, and we will have the capability to cover down on contingencies, which is something the National Guard and the Marine plan for. So we have the funding to cover down on contingencies, especially ones as important as maintaining law and order in a major American city. As far as training all of the units on...
And what about that farmer guy? The farm... thing. Wasn't there like a farmer that was doing some practice? I mean, the concept of American state interests me because for some reason only few Italians are aware that states other than New York and California do actually exist. What about Texas? I feel like if there's gonna be, yeah, I mean, Americans do that too, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like the states that are in the news most often, because I don't really know how many times like Nebraska comes up, but I feel like most people would know New York, California, Texas, and maybe Florida. Sorry, beyond. But yeah, we are technically a union of North Dakota is for real a goated state. Yeah, that's why we were all so worried when their GDP was dropping.
On the ground have been fully trained.
Yeah, well, damn. Well, you're Italian. You said Phoenix. It's in Arizona, yeah? It's amazing. I don't know. I bet less than 20, less than a quarter of Americans can name all 50 states. Actually, Utah's I love Utah, man. Salt Lake City. I don't know if you do any skiing. Yeah, we're united. We are one union, united as one, divided in lifestyle, but under the same principles. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Sorry, it was kind of an Asmongold react. Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. What percent of Americans can name all 50 states? Oh, thank God. Actually, wait. Let me try and do this. All right.
Disposal to quell the.
Dingledorf is talking, so let's see. Wait, okay. I mean, do you prefer the U.S. over Italy? I feel like a lot of people are trying to get out of the U.S. at this point, but always happy to have some pro-American stuff in Europe, despite this dingle fuck. Yeah, I mean, you're not from. I mean, yeah, from Italy though. Or, I mean, I guess just generally. Oh, I can't play that on stream. Okay. 50 states quiz. Not. No, wait, how do I change type? To ask Ben.
Wow. Wow. That's a.
Yeah,
that's
to say the
beautiful
least,
sight.
for sure.
It's a beautiful sight to be with you in a place called Fort Bragg.
All right, let's start with the East Coast.
Can you believe they changed that name in the last administration for a little bit? But we'll forget all about that. Well, we're going to forget all about it. I want to just say God bless the U.S. Army and God bless the USA. Great place, great group. I want to thank so many incredible soldiers and paratroopers, pilots, warriors.
Back to college, and some makes community college costs more than my Yep. That is a rough part. Our media, however, and the government pushing for a single uniform culture regardless of the state. That is true. Or I guess like a bipolar, or bipolar not in like the mental health sense, just polarized US seems like the way they're doing it. Yeah, I know, and the media just feeds off all of the fucking shit that gets flung intermittently. It's depressing. Quite.
But they just gave
Oh
me a
my
display
God.
That you might be lucky not to see it because it's a little scary.
Why is he so
It was
quiet?
beautiful to watch. Let's hear it for the Army Special Operations and Command and the 82nd Airborne Division and the 18th Airborne Corps. What a show it was and what a show it continues to be. And Saturday is going to be a big day in Washington, D.C. You know, a lot of people say, we don't want to do that. I say, yeah, we do. We want to show off a little bit. You know, recently, other countries celebrated the victory of World War I. France was celebrating, really. They were all celebrating. The only one that doesn't celebrate.
Yeah, I mean, some colleges are like 50 or 60,000 for a year, so you just got to get a fuck ton of scholarships.
The USA, and we're the ones that won the war. Without us, you'd all be speaking German right now. Maybe a little Japanese thrown in. But we won the war. And we don't celebrate, but we're going to celebrate on Saturday, and we're going to celebrate from now on. We're going to celebrate our greatness and our achievements. This week we honor 250 years.
No, I actually, I'd probably agree with you on that. I think Trump's not helping the media cycle. I don't want to offend college. What? Italian, Romanian, everyone in the Axis. You'd be speaking all of those. Well, hey, I mean, we'd have some good foreign language classes. I'm kidding.
Of valor and glory and triumph by the...
Especially not now. Like, banned from Harvard. Fucking... this guy's not helping us at all. Not to say that Democrats, canceling people has really been that great either. It hasn't been. I hope that the fallout from the Trump admin is that conservatives and liberals that are, not super captured by their camps can be like, all right, maybe we let things get a little heated. I don't know. I feel like something good could come out of it at the very end, because I know a lot of people are like, okay, this is fucked up. So I'm going to be optimistic and say after the shit show that this is, there might be a greater sense of national unity again of people who, the left will be like, all right, we went too far on some things, and the right's like, yeah, this isn't really what we were hoping for. Shake hands, kiss and hug, and hopefully that's what I'm hoping for.
Greatest fighting 2.5 centuries, our soldiers have marched into the raging fires of battle and obliterated America's enemies. There's never been anything like it. There's never been a force like this. And I rebuilt it. I gave you so much money for 4 years. It was crazy. And we just approved our largest budget for military operations, over $1
Kentucky's
trillion.
a beautiful state.
We've never even come close. But our army has smashed foreign empires, humbled kings, toppled tyrants, and hunted terrorist savages through the very gates of hell.
I know.
Our soldiers do not rest until they win. You know that better than anybody. From June 1775 to June 2025, those foolish enough to challenge America's army have been met with unyielding strength, unbreakable spirit, and unstoppable, overwhelming force. Time and again, our enemies have learned that if you dare to threaten the American people, American soldier will chase you down, crush you, and cast you into oblivion. That's what happens, unfortunately. That's what happens. Doesn't sound very nice, but it's true, isn't it? The last sound you ever hear will be the dueling howl of Black Hawks in the dead of night, the thunderous boom of artillery fire, or the ferocious roar of a U.S. Army infantry brigade charging over the horizon. That brigade is going to charge like you've never seen before, and hopefully I can keep you out of that, but if I don't, you're ready. Is that right? If I can keep you out of it. If I keep you out of it, that's okay, but if we need it, you're ready. You know, it's called
Do you get
peace
money from the
through-
ad breaks? So far, it has not amounted to a cent. And I turned down the ad breaks to like a bare minimum to not have pre-roll ads and also not make watching me like a pain in the ass. Just because I like this whole thing isn't going to be profitable for a while unless like I pop the fuck off one day. That's why I want to talk to like some other creators, trying to talk to like Hutch or Lonerbox, something like that. Turncoats and the money I am making on ads is so minimal. I don't even think I've made like a whole cent yet.
Strength, isn't it? Peace through strength. For our adversaries, there's no greater fear than the United States Army. They all fear us, and we have the greatest force.
There was a second there where I was like, wait, fuck. Am I going to be able to name all the US states? I should practice before I take map quizzes on stream.
Anywhere on earth, you know, you read different stories that others are building and building and building. We have a force like no other. They said it would take 5 years to defeat ISIS. We did it in 4 weeks. 4 weeks. We let him go. Unlike other of your leaders, I let him go. And we had General Raisin Kane, who's now the head of the Joint Chiefs.
Can't believe that's a real guy.
Because I liked him. He was a warrior. He was a great warrior. And now he's been rewarded for his incredible work. But they said it would take 5 years. We did it in 4 weeks. Someday I'm going to ask him to explain that one to me.
Austria shoot.
But it was the television generals that said that. The real generals got out and fought, and nobody fought like them ever. But for the American people, there's no greater pride because you are the righteous sword of American justice and the ultimate shield of American freedom. This week we remember that we only have a country because we first had an army. The army was first. In fact, the army was even before the country. You know that, right? 1 year.
Is that just addressing the entire community, I guess? Y'all know my name, so okay.
Before the country. After
gray matter.
250 years, we still proudly declare that
After hours of standing off, this situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
Wait, I didn't watch this close enough. This dude literally just... What the fuck? Like, he just... Oh. So this is an Australian reporter with 9 News that just... Like, for what? The only thing I can think of is there's a car coming? But that's not... You could just tell her to move. Or the car could... Yeah, that would hurt like a fucking bitch. This guy's gotta get fired, right? Like, that's insane. Yeah. Now, I personally haven't been shot, but... God damn.
we are free because you are strong. You are so strong. We're safe because you are brave, and America's flag will never fall because America's army will never, ever fail. Never going to fail. Every branch of the armed forces has played a critical role in protecting our nation, but no one has done more fighting, bleeding, and winning than the U.S. Army. Nobody's done that. The Army has earned more combat medals and more battle ribbons than any other service, and 70% of all of the medals of honor. We give away medals of honor all the time at the White House to incredibly brave people, but you have 70% of them Army soldiers, and especially our Army paratroopers.
I don't do well with gore.
Truly go all the way. You know that expression, all the way. It's one of your beautiful expressions.
No, that shot wasn't deserved at all. Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think of a reason. No, this is fucked. This is completely untenable. Sorry. If I'm reading your comment correctly. Was it deserved? Let the redcoats fight each other? What? The Dragon Soul's Italian. What? Okay, I'm a little lost.
As President of the United States, let me express my undying gratitude to our nation for every soldier here today, for every veteran and their families, those incredible families that are with us and all across America, and for every patriot who has worn the uniform over 250 years. Can you imagine that? We thank you from the absolute bottom of our hearts. Few places loom larger in Army lore.
Weren't you just talking about respecting the national idea of respecting differences of people's cultures within the U.S.? That means you got to get along with Californians and respect that Californians are Californians, and they got to respect that Georgians are Georgians. Well, they should respect the country, Georgia, but as well as the state. All right, brother? Not when that culture says the British is right? In what respect? We respect our cultures. The reporter was Australian.
Than where we are gathered today.
You're going to make me crash out,
the
brother.
one and only Fort Bragg. The one and only Fort Bragg.
No, you're just putting him in prison. No, I'm kidding. Well, maybe. I don't know. I haven't.
But remember, it was only that little brief moment that it wasn't called Fort Bragg. It was by the...
Okay. I cannot... I need to be... This is good exposure therapy to not getting baited. My mental is slowly improving. We might go from L streamer to streamer.
The Biden administration, not Trump. I had nothing to do with it.
What, anti-aircraft rounds?
Changed. We said, I came here numerous times and everybody, they kept saying Fort Bragg, Fort Bragg. I said, it's not the name, but then I was making a speech. I said, what do you think I should call this place? Call it Fort Bragg. I said, Fort Bragg, how you doing? We won a lot.
Hey, you're lucky we don't still tar and feather, you fucks.
A lot of battles from this place, and that's the way it is. It wasn't even close. When Pete and some of the generals came to see me, I said, not even close.
Can we read the lawsuit?
This is the home of the Green Berets, the Sky Dragons, and the All-American 82nd Airborne. We know what 82nd Airborne Division. This is where the GIs who won the Second World War learned to pack their parachutes and push out.
But I wonder how Musk's doing right now. That's a good question.
Go right into those C-47s with lots of arms and push them right out those big, beautiful doors and wield their bayonets and pry the enemy from the hedgerows of the French countryside. France needed us badly. We were there. A lot of people needed us badly. They still do, maybe worse than ever. It was here in the soil that the Army forged the metal that held strong at Bastogne.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is
Are you the same guy that was just here? Thanks for the follow, by the way. But you can protest. You can protest pretty much anything. I mean, you take it up with the Californians. Floyd didn't OD, by the way, but that's not the subject of today's show. You can protest whatever the fuck you want. Except Israel. That's okay, fair. Only if you are of the people. Hey, sure. Not everyone. Are you saying that everyone protesting ICE there we're to extreme? Oh, trust me, I'm getting plenty of it. Oh, your name doesn't even show.
The mighty paratroopers earned their wings before they
Tesla,
rained down
Tesla.
death from above to liberate
Yes,
Sicily, Normandy, and even the Netherlands. That's right. We saved the Netherlands.
Okay, but even
Every
still,
inch of
not
this
everyone
base
there
is
is
steeped in
illegal.
the
I don't
legacy
even.
of those
I would say
warriors who
probably
have
most of them are
said with
citizens.
pride, sir, I trained at Fort Bragg, sir. That was pretty cool. And that is why we restored the historic name. This very,
I
very
don't think there's
special
been
place.
anything.
I don't know if it could be the same place. Fort Bragg is
Musk
that's the name. And Fort
tweets.
Bragg, it shall always remain. That's never going to be happening again.
Not always. Okay. Retweets. Stephen Miller. I thought I saw.
And for a little news for the fake news back there, the fake news. Ladies and gentlemen, look at them. Look at them all. Oh, what I have to
Okay,
put
never
up.
mind.
Fake news.
Never mind.
What I
Nice.
have to put
Having
up
the military boo the media. That's just wonderful. You love to see it.
with. But they're all right. They've been very nice today. They were impressed with that display. I can tell
I guess
you
that was fake. I thought there was a tweet he made about stealing his wife.
A little by surprise, but for a little breaking news, we are also going to be restoring the names to Fort Pickett, Fort Hood, Fort Gordon, Fort Rucker, Fort Polk, Fort A.P. Hill, and Fort Robert E. Lee.
He's naming a fort after the Associated Press.
We won a lot of battles out of those forts. It's no time to change.
He's railing against the
And I'm
Waymos.
superstitious, you know. I like to keep it going, right?
The difference between reality and supercut corporate media, these murderous riots are mostly peaceful. Does he not realize he's watching two fucking supercuts? I don't think I could. If I make a Rumble or Kick account, then we can do that there. But I don't think I can do that here. The funny thing is here, the irony of this tweet, the supercut of what corporate media is saying, and of the violent incidents side by side, and the irony is lost. In 24 hours, we would have stopped the war. He hasn't. He's raising the deficit. The wars are ongoing. A lot of them are fucking escalating. What else do we have? The border is more secure. That's one thing he did. Give him that. But I don't know. There's probably some other shit. There's so much shit happens so quickly.
I'm very superstitious. We want to keep it going. So that's a big story. We just announced that today to you for the first time. They said, why didn't you wait till Saturday? I said, I can't wait. I got to talk to my friends here today. This is a record crowd. You know, you never had.
He's dealing with the drug issues. How so? How's he dealing with the drug? I mean, I don't know. Do we have a report on seized fentanyl coming through? Or actually, let's just look at drug overdoses
Had a crowd
in the
this
U.S.
big. That's an honor.
By month.
You think this crowd would have showed up for Biden? I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I want to thank so many great leaders here today, including Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who's been great. By the way, Pete, thank you. And he went through the wars, you know? Pete went through the
Give him
wars.
that.
He had to get through a very hostile group of people that I think really don't want to see America
Why are you
be
so
great
quiet now?
again, maybe, or something. But he persevered, and he got there, and he's doing a fantastic job. Great job, Pete. Thank you very much.
Against drug, I mean,
Secretary-
declaring war on Venezuela to arrest drug dealers. Oh, Jesus, that feels like years ago at this point, but it was like, what, a month or two? Oh my God, the news moves so fucking fast.
Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins, a fantastic man. Thank you,
Go
Doug.
for it.
Doing a great job. Way up from the last administration.
The more I see how much we praise
It's way up. You saw the recent poll. The people are happy. They weren't happy a couple of years
True.
ago. They were really happy.
Actually, so true. That's one thing that's an understated issue with not just the Trump admin, but it's definitely been exacerbated by Trump, is he's got like everyone around the world, every corporate person, every state coming to him being like, please let us do what we want, like our need to do. Please, sir, may I have some more? Yeah, I guess. True. Real. On God. Type shit, as they say. We can't think about the U.S. right now. We have to take Canada. Oh, and Greenland. Don't forget.
Happy 5 years ago, but it went downhill from there. We did so much. We got you medical. If you had to wait, if you had to delay at all, you go out to see a private doctor. We pay the bill. You take care of it. You don't wait for 6 months and end up getting
Wow,
very
what a
sick or
novel
something.
idea, Googly.
Could have been done with a little shot or a pill. We did that. Then they wanted to drop that. I said, we're not dropping it. But Doug, I'm proud of you. I just heard some great things.
Oh my God, he's so fucking quiet.
The Secretary of the Army, a really brilliant young guy, went to Yale. Can't have everything.
Googly
Top
2028.
student, Dan Driscoll. Thank
Sure.
you. Thank
Go
you,
for
Dan.
me if you want to live.
And we have your senators, Senator Ted Budd and Senator Tom Tillis. Thank you, fellas.
Yep. Where we we go now?
Congressman
Yeah.
Richard Hudson.
Type shit.
Pat Harrigan. Where's Pat? Pat.
Crossword.
Good, Pat. You're doing great. You guys are amazing. And we have the big brass. General Andrew Pappas.
That's not the Washington Post.
Thank you. Thank you, General. Doing a great job. General John Bradshaw.
Drug issues are nasty and need to be addressed. But federal sweeping mandates, yeah. Those founders, they really did, right? They not only created a great system but also predicted the future of all the ways that it would fail. Ensure English power so the Scottish and Irish could have the guys being. You should clean up that city. There's a lot of cities that need cleaning. Ah, brother. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you for today, Joe.
Joe?
General Greg Anderson.
Biden.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg.
Talking to the fucking mic, Don.
Sergeant Major of the Army, Michael Weimer. And before going further, I want to say a few words about the situation in Los Angeles, California. Have you heard of the place? Where I've deployed thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to protect federal law enforcement from the attacks of a vicious and violent mob. And some of the radical left, they say, oh, that's not nice. Well, if we didn't do it, there wouldn't be a Los Angeles. It'd be burning today, just like their houses were burning
Mormon.
a number of months ago. Generations of Army heroes did not shed their blood on distant shores only to watch our country be destroyed by invasion and third world lawlessness here at home, like is happening in California. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not let that happen.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what he says regarding fucking California thing. Yeah, big fan of state governments here. That's right. I'm a Democrat, and I'm a fan of state government. Wow. States' rights.
My fellow Americans, how excited.
President Donald John Trump welcomes America's newest citizens, U.S., capitalized, under lowercase. That's cool. I never would have. Okay, well, good. I'm proud of Oklahoma. Is the St. Louis. Hold up. Big fan of smaller governments having more power but retaining. Hold up. Fan of smaller governments having more power but retaining a larger government. What I'm saying is, I'm leftist and I support social programs. I don't care if they're like state. Honestly, it'd probably be better run at the state level. Some inherent safety nets at the federal level, but you know, the management of cultural stuff, like cultures and different legal systems that the people of each state want is also fine. Like, that's also good.
Exciting this is. Congratulations. Today you receive one of the most priceless gifts ever granted by human hands. You become a citizen of the United States of America. What an honor. It is with great pride and wisdom in so many different ways, because you have such great wisdom, that I welcome you into our national family. No matter where you come from, you now share a home and a heritage with some of the most exceptional heroes, legends, and patriots to ever walk the face of the earth. All of the triumphs and glories of American history now belong to you. You have it in your being. You have it like nobody's had it before. With this sacred honor comes the highest responsibility. As you know, the American way of life is unique in all the world, and as Americans, we must fiercely guard it and defend it. In this country, we believe in hard work and merit system and equality of opportunity. We believe in...
What new citizens? The South Africans?
Self-government and the fair and equal and impartial rule of law. And we cherish our liberty and our God-given rights to free speech, free exercise of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms.
Yeah,
the special American culture is now yours to preserve. Your freedoms are now yours to protect. Our entire nation is now yours to love and to help build, and we trust that you will do a fantastic job and make us very, very proud. Congratulations once again. God bless you, and God bless America.
What the fuck? What is this state propaganda? Or Netanyahu's family? Okay, yeah. This, what is my country doing?
Any more festive inside Prudential Center. The presidents of
They're making it look like he's gonna hop in the ring.
United States of America, Donald J. Trump, flanked by our UFC CEO Dana White. Great to have the 47th president of the United States with us at another massive UFC pay-per-view event tonight at The Rock here in Newark, New Jersey. Tremendous experience for these fans to get to witness this live and in person.
I'm trying to put it into words. I don't even know, man. It's fucking... Oh my god. Holy fuck. There you go. We got the Humvees now. Wait, fuck. Oh, I can't show YouTube chat. Shit. I'm so glad we have the Marines here to protect us from what, this guy? I understand that's hyperbolic, but now I'm waiting for the tanks. They're coming, brother.
Smoke bombs out of everything. Nobody from the news was there. Yeah, nobody was.
Like, yes, I know. I'm like, yes, there was a lot of violence that's happened around these protests. I get that. This is a really funny image. Yeah, so I saw that there was a shooting in Austria. I didn't look into it yet, but Austrian all-powerful executive not to become the king of a nation by restriction. What their domain is, you prevent the legislature from instantly taking away your rights from making the. You've been an example to us. Oh, that's, oh boy. This image. Your tax dollars at work, everybody. Isn't it just grand? Oh, we got some counter protesters.
Yes, you mentioned Europe. That's who actually founded and built.
No, that was another. That was yesterday, the day before, and I think the day before that. Stop speaking Spanish. No.
There's a zebra in a bag.
I want to see them put it in the bag. No! The thing that's sending me is, wait.
There's a zebra in a bag.
Just the guy, they put a zebra in a bag. And I'm proud to be an American, and at least I know I'm free. What's the meaning of all that? The zebra in the bag?
You know who built the city of Los right, so think the Spanish. Think the Spanish. That's right. That's why you have your language. That's why you're Roman Catholic, because of Spain, because of Europe. Everything you take from Europe.
We take everything from Europe.
We are proud Americans.
Everything from Europe. Are you serious? You are so naive. Educate yourself.
Okay. Yeah, that about sums up the discourse in the U.S. 5 more seconds.
I stand with ICE. I stand with ICE. I stand with ICE. Yeah, you know what? This is Orange County. You got
In a part, but him saying everything they have comes from Spain is not true. Yes, the Spanish landed in Central and South America, but then, you know, the culture that came from those countries is a mix of the people that were native to those places with the Spanish influence, so it's a new culture that came out of it with part Spanish and part other shit. Like, I like the fucking white men for Trump shirt.
You guys want to go do this shit? Go up to LA. But this is the home of Richard Nixon. This is the home of American patriots. USA.
Where is this?
USA. 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 USA.
Is this a different part of
I
California?
love President Trump. I love Stephen Miller. They're doing a great job, and we are here to stand
Is
with
that
them.
true?
Thank you, California National.
I'm really... Oh, that's... Okay.
USA.
Oh, okay. Doesn't matter.
United States of America. We will. That's fine.
That shit on your own.
If you're here legally, we don't want you here. If you're here legally, we don't want you here. More respect for here. I'm from Orange County. I'm from California. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
None of us signed the declaration. How? You came and you stole our land.
That's fair.
Really? So you're related
They show the face of the Marine.
I'm related to
You're related to Indian Zacatecas?
Oh, yeah. Well, isn't anti-British tourism, like, kind of prevalent in a lot of Europe? Like, we saw the anti-British signs in the Netherlands, too.
I don't want to. That's actually not on the East Coast.
I gotcha.
Have you heard of when Christopher Columbus came over? He didn't discover shit. We were
Southern Spain and Poland? What the fuck are you guys getting up to in Poland?
You bought the fucking
Dude. Like, that's true, but isn't that like a lot of their economy, though? Dude, this guy looks so fucking done. Like, the Marines didn't choose to be deployed here. I mean, once you're a Marine, you kind of sign a lot of your freedom of mobility away. This guy's just leaning up against the APC. You gotta feel bad for these guys.
European expansion.
You bought it. He didn't agree with our culture. That's why we're a new fucking world.
Nachos. What is foreign flag?
I think this face sums it up pretty well. It's like, it's fucking hot as balls in California. I signed up to protect my nation. I don't know. I'm ascribing a lot to this guy, but that face, that is just a stank face. Yeah, I think I was one of the only people to get assaulted in Amsterdam. Or battered, actually. A guy punched me. Broad daylight in a store after he tried to rob me. And when I told the the person at the hostel, like, that was working the desk at the hostel about it, she was like, I've never heard of that happening in Amsterdam. Really? She's like, you can go to the police, I guess, but that doesn't really happen in Amsterdam. I was like, I guess. But lucky me, I guess. Get socked in the jaw in Amsterdam for shopping. I mean, they didn't rob. I'm a big guy. The guy was small. My backpack, he tried to yank my backpack off. It didn't come off. And then he started swinging on me. And I just was like, bro. And I was just swatting away punches. I just waited for, like, the manager of the store to do something. I don't want to be an American in a foreign country just decking some guy. I am surprised he didn't just, like, run after Italian pickpockets, yeah. The Italian scammers, though, they didn't punch me in the face. I'll give them that. The metros, I never took the Italian metro. I went on the tube, like, in London a bunch of times. I never saw anything going down there. Even the homeless people in London were like, can I please have some change? And they're like, all right. And if no one said anything, but all right, thank you for your time, they go to the next car. I was like, what the fuck? That's insane. Oh, look at that. The white nationalists and the protesters are agreeing over Israel-Palestine. That's...
I grew up in these streets. I joined the military here in Santa Ana. Yeah. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. I've seen the fucking... I've seen it in the streets of Santa Ana. I've seen it in the streets
Look at that.
What's up?
Our country's healing.
Growing up in fucking Michigan, right? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's kind of just being in public.
And I took them in college to the military years ago.
That guy's done some aura for me. Which guy? No, I didn't. Still LA protest stuff.
You don't like black people too.
No, I didn't say
damn. You said you're racist.
Yeah,
I
didn't
got
say
you.
that. I want to ask you a question. Can I ask you a question? Are you proud of your...
Although, I guess on IP really quickly, Israel-Palestine really quickly, there was a section here where the protesters in LA and the white nationalists, the counter-protesters, were agreeing on their hatred of Israel, which is... That's funny.
I don't
There
blame them.
it
It's
is.
just, they're being told what to do. But you feel like strong and an allegiance with them.
We were brought over here. We were raped.
No, but I mean
our
today.
women were raped. The term motherfucker came from. They inbred us.
I'm talking about.
Made
I don't know if
I asked you a question about
Scooper? Corner for sale. Live well? Is that GMC? Not GMC.
I'm not gonna touch you. We're gonna send you back to Mexico.
GNC, sorry. I think? It's not as bad as you think. I mean, look, I'm not commenting on the merits of it. I just thought you'd appreciate hearing that. That's all. And they wouldn't. I mean, if someone pulls a gun in front of all of these police and Marines and National Guard, that's suicide. Terrorist state. In Japan, in what, like, Japan, Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I think no. I don't think the U.S. is a terror state. And I don't want to go bar for bar on each individual war crime the U.S. has committed, because the thing about it is, like, the bombs. What? I'm not getting into this. See, there you go.
At least this idiot is an idiot and keeps this idiot up. Like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Throw Trump out of presidency. You're great. I'm right here.
Can state actors be considered terrorists, or just like violation of international law, or so? I don't fucking know. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's mono for you guys, so it's, for me, it's only coming over right here. Okay, more protests. That's restoring the warrior. An update on anti. Okay. Oh, Jesus.
I want to take the time to
okay.
walk through what our officers encountered.
Undocumented immigrants are largely ineligible U.S.-born kids. Yeah, that from what I've researched, that is largely correct. Real, imaginary. Yeah, no, I think that's mostly correct. And I don't know what would be wrong about that. I just don't want to like fully commit to saying every number in there is correct without looking it up myself. That's all. Yeah, no, and like Trump admin is doing fucking fear mongering and cutting way more people's healthcare and shit and benefits, and then saying no, it's just immigrants. It's stupid shit.
How we are preparing for the days ahead, and provide specific information regarding arrests, officer injuries, and our continued response efforts. The information we are sharing today is preliminary, and the numbers and information may change as we gather a comprehensive understanding of the events that took place. And this is in the spirit of being as transparent and as accountable as we can be. You guys know I like to get in front of you with the facts as soon as we have them. So the protest began at the Texas Capitol, where the grounds were closed. Protesters then moved through downtown Austin. Both the Department of Public Safety and the Austin Police Department worked collaboratively to safely block off traffic and allow marchers to peacefully march. The crowd ultimately gathered in front of the federal building, where some individuals began defacing the property with graffiti. Officers.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, that there are conditions where people here on asylum have work visas, or people like weren't legal, get work permits or some shit, and then they pay taxes, don't get as much benefit. Yeah, no, we're in line, real imaginary. Also, welcome to the stream. It's sorry, I'm like out of energy because this whole shit show in LA is so draining and depressing to see. Like, God, I thought the National Guard deployment was bad enough, but the Marines being deployed is just fucking crazy. And we were just watching a video of the Marines in LA, and they're just kind of standing there like, man, what the fuck am I doing here? It's it's really draining my soul, man. Realistically speaking, what are they doing? Who? The protesters, the like LA law enforcement, National Guard, or the Marines? Fuck it, nothing. They're standing there being like, okay, now what? My going theory is that it's just like intimidating protesters. Like the violence really calmed down, and a lot of the people that were like burning shit, like arson, violence, whatnot, have already been arrested and dealt with. So that makes the National Guard deployment already, well, 1, unnecessary, and 2, unconstitutional. And they're getting paid regardless, no? Do they get paid extra for technically being deployed? But now there's not just ICE APCs, but now there's Humvees and big guys with big guns.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is...
Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Holy wasted taxpayer money. Oh, yeah. $134 million. Gone. Just, it's like a significant percentage of Doge. Didn't even do much. Oh, my country, 'tis of thee. More like, wait, is this real? Marines got deployed to LA? Yeah, 700 Marines are there right now. Just standing. Wait, let me go back. No, it was one more ago. Ooh, I can't show YouTube chat. Here they are. Shutting down the violent extremists. Extremists. I mean, look, just to be clear, nothing against these Marines. Like, they have any say in the matter. They just are standing there in the hot sun. At least you're getting paid for it, but...
Catholic welfare, we don't need you committing crime. We graphic replacement of Harry making money. That's fine.
Wait, fuck, I'm trying to find... There's a close-up of the guy's face. I heard the Navy was bringing this ship on land next. Oh, yeah, you're in good company, Roberto. I heard the Navy... there was something about a submarine being deployed. What again, I think it's a fear tag. I really have no clue what the fucking point is, other than trying to like intimidate people. Unless Trump was only seeing like the supercuts of all of like the like fires and shit, and he's like, oh my god, LA's burning down. But I mean, he said so as much. He's like, without me intervening, LA would be like it was during that wildfire. So maybe that's what's happening. He's just an idiot, or him and people in his ear are trying to scare the fuck. He's playing golf and watching UFC fights. True. We did watch the state filmed, edited video of Trump attending a UFC event. It's so goofy. It's so goofy.
Putting this letter together and bringing us together this morning. I listened in traffic, mind you, for what they had planned for the weekend. They had blocked off a whole lane.
I actually, you know what? Nancy Pelosi, fuck off. Sorry, okay, sorry. I can listen to the white nationalists fight with the protesters. Navy, the Marine deploy. Am I...
look up the Israel lobby.
They stand behind the American first, but they're fucking racist.
It's called the Israel lobby, guys.
Just say that you're a white.
Okay. I thought I heard someone mention this.
I'm down for that. No, I'm down for the American cigarette. No. I'm down.
It's just like. Is this like it's so hard to zoom in on YouTube videos. Like, it's really in my read, that's the face of like, what the fuck am I doing here, man? I'm from outside the U.S. Things I'm seeing, I don't know if it's the media here oversensitive. It's not good times in the U.S. It's really not. I mean, yeah, it's circus. It's a clown show, really. Like this 3.5 hour stream has felt like a 10-hour stream just because of all the fucking BS. I'm like running out of words for it. It's such like shit. Shock moment. If you feel it to be prudent, go for it. I think he believes it. But it's unproductive. Dragon Soul, don't do that. That's just, yeah, don't be Islamophobic. There's plenty to make fun of this guy for. Don't worry, you don't need to resolve to that. Okay. Yeah, okay, that is fair. They're not, well, what I was saying is they're there, like, for intimidation. They're not there to, like, bring the hammer down on the people. Sorry, I that is a reasonable way to interpret what I was saying. That's not what I meant to convey. Yeah, they don't, to my knowledge, they don't have the authority for anything like that. But yeah, no, you're right. I'll be a little more careful. Guess who farted this guy? It's a good point. That's fair. But the National Guard shouldn't even be there in the first place, to be honest. Like, oh boy. Oh, look at that. Violence happened and LAPD handled it. Would you look at that? I mean, the thing, yeah, back to the thing I'm arguing here is mainly that LAPD has the situation under control. There was no need to have the National Guard called in, and especially the Marines called in. The Marines aren't going to do shit directly with the protesters, but to reinforce, as that one gentleman said, the National Guard, which probably shouldn't be there in the first place. That's why I'm like exasperated and just like a little careless with my phrasing, so my apologies. What was actually the... Oh, I guess that guy put a firecracker down or something. Dude, I'm just... My country, man. What is going on? Oh my god. Anyways, this crossword. Yeah. I feel like the Americans are here as a minority against the... This is about... you guys can have that argument in chat. I'm not doing this for today, at least. There's a process. Wait, okay, hold on. So you weren't here earlier in the stream. Guess who farted? I'm just gonna call you who farted. That's all right. Yeah, no, there are rioters and there are protesters. What I'm saying is LAPD has been arresting the rioters, and there hasn't been like a complete breakdown in judicial ability or law enforcement ability. It's a protest. They're arresting the people that are being violent or causing damage to businesses and whatnot. Chips did the most arresting. Last night was Chips. Sorry, what, like Chips stands like Chips the show? California Highway Patrol, but still, that's like right. Well, not just LAPD. Sorry, right. I should be. California state and local law enforcement has been able to arrest the people committing the crimes. That's what I mean. I'm not saying that like they're peaceful protests. There are peaceful protesters and there are rioters. That is very true. I'm just saying it seems like California had it relatively under control. I think it was the LAPD fucking chief. Someone said, like, yeah, we really don't call on the National Guard unless we're, like, stretched over 50% capacity. So we didn't really think about that. But, like, since they're here, I guess they'll help us. But, like, yeah. And the issue really is... I've got to, like, what did you mean by go read the Quran? That did strike me as a little... unless there was a different meaning that I didn't pick up on there, that did strike me as a bit odd, to say the least. But you can explain. Sure. I'd really prefer not relying on religious digs to do that. But the protest can turn... I gotta disagree with you. It can, and if it did go out of control, then they would be completely right to call on the National Guard. But at that point, I feel like Newsom or the state legislature would have just said, yeah, let's use the National Guard. I'm saying preempting it and going over the governor's head or the state legislature's head while like the state and local law enforcement. I did not. The 1992 ones, is that Rodney King? Or yeah, look, I'm not saying LA doesn't riot. I'm just saying they could have. Yeah, okay, it is this. Just saying, as it stood, LAPD was, or not LAPD, California law enforcement was handling it. If they had gotten out of control, yes, the National Guard would have been completely valid to go there, but like there've been protests in LA since time immemorial. I definitely entertain the case of preempting it, but I guess going over the governor's head isn't great, to put it mildly. I can understand wanting to protect like federal buildings. It's tough. I definitely entertain the argument of like preempting it. I don't think that's unfair. I just think that under like the laws to federalize and then deploy the National Guard, there would have needed to be more happening. LA, like California law enforcement would have had to have like thrown up their hands and been unable to do anything. Then it should have been federalized. Like then there would be grounds to go over the governor's head to federalize and deploy the National Guard. As it stood prior to the National Guard deployment, LAPD and just like California law enforcement wasn't even at 50% capacity, which is what they say is their policy to then call in the National Guard. So I get what you're saying. I hear you. I did not live through these riots. Did grow up around LA, and you know my family is from around the area. I haven't lived it, but I have a lot of family that has. So preempting it, is it infringes upon the right to protest? So Roberto, like depends, I guess, what the National Guard is doing there. Like taking these arguments in isolation. You know, if the National Guard had been deployed under constitutional manners, them standing in front of like federal buildings, that's fine. If they were like beating down protesters and just there to like shut them down instantly and not like shutting down non-violent protesters, then I would think that, yeah, that would be infringing upon the right to protest. It's delicate, definitely, but the National Guard, at least as the protests / riots stood as of, what was it, 3 p.m. on Saturday, California. Okay. Good job, Beck. Maybe there will be a speedrun.com category for that. You'd be first? You can start it. So this was Sunday. Okay. Maybe the AP is just really not getting the right views or something. I watched one that was on the ground. This is after. This is, I think this is what I was watching. Yeah, I mean, Obviously, the people that started this fire arrested, like, but like these guys really do anything wrong. You actually do it. Wait, there was someone who already did it, unless you're Ken own. I don't know. I try to go live nearly every day. Around 12. I've been slacking a little bit, been a bit of a lazy bum. 10 to like 6 p.m. my time. Or sorry, 12 in the afternoon to like 6-ish p.m. my time. Hey, well look, you're always welcome here. Like, again, I'll entertain anyone from anywhere with nearly any opinion, as long as it's not like hateful. And you know, I don't mind conservatives in here. Always happy to argue. You know, just as long as we're all engaging with the points and not trying to sling shit at each other and, like, you know, sourcing stuff, anyone's welcome here. And, you know, it's as long as we can have a factual basis that's at least similar, I think we're all going to have a grand old time. No, you guys are so sweet. See you, brother. Thanks for tuning in. All right, they didn't. Is this the one I was fucking watching? Seems moderately. I guess watching more of the protests isn't really gonna do much for anyone here. There's one clip I wanted to find where there was a guy that was yelling some, like, racist dribble, and then some people started swinging on him from the protesters, and then other protesters, like, defended him and, like, just kind of had him leave. Yeah, that's, I guess, could be considered just like anecdotal, but my point is the National Guard is unnecessary. That's, and as it stood, unconstitutional. That's all I want to say. Jesus, this topic is it's tiring, man. It's there.
Due to some of the protests in Los Angeles over the weekend, the president decided to activate 2,000 National Guard troops.
Also, aside from politics, if anyone in here enjoys crosswords or other trivia games, that is another big thing we do here. And also, you're more than welcome to help out with these crosswords.
Under Title 10 orders, those are federal orders, and did not ask Governor Newsom, California's governor, whether he or not he actually wanted those troops to be sent. And the governor actually did not. Typically, in a case like this, the governors are left to handle situations in their own states. And if Newsom had felt like the
Birchwood or
National Guard,
Beechwood?
the California National Guard members were needed to be activated under state orders, he would have been in control. But this really leaves the president in control of those troops. However, it also limits what those troops can do. U.S. troops on U.S. soil cannot conduct law enforcement except under very specific circumstances. And under the authorities that Trump has deployed these National Guard troops right now, they cannot. They can protect buildings, they can help with traffic flow, they cannot do seizures, they cannot stop people, they are not supposed to detain or arrest in any form or fashion, except if it's in self-defense or in extreme circumstances. And then yesterday, the president directed and U.S. Northern Command ordered about 700 Marines and sailors to deploy also from California. They're at a base in California called 29 Palms, and they will be going to Los Angeles as well. They're actually already there, kind of staged outside the city. Just like the National Guard, those Marines cannot detain people. They are there to protect buildings. They can protect personnel. The Pentagon yesterday was just scrambling to be able to provide these Marines with guidance on what they can and cannot do and what they should and should not do, because this is an extremely rare situation. You do not typically deploy active duty soldiers, Marines, sailors, etc. on U.S. soil to conduct any sort of law enforcement activity.
Yeah, okay. So that's why it's good to have fellas like Guess Who Farted in here. Just keep me honest. I do really appreciate it. Man. This is going to be I think this is going to be a short one. I might have to call it here. We got a lot of hits today. I'm really happy about that. Obviously, 34 down, 36 down. Presky. All right. Huh? The fuck? Relaxing time app. What is app? You sure? It doesn't fit. Just to be Ritalin. Sorry, I don't know why I was so excited. Yeah, it just doesn't fit. Relaxing time after hitting the slopes. I don't know. Holy fucking balls, I'm tired. Sorry. That wasn't an announcement I needed to make. Yeah. I think I'm gonna call stream about here. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you want to see that press with two N's, okay, or two N's, S's. If you want to see more of this type of thing, arguing, whatnot, feel free to shoot me a follow, or just, yeah. Much love. Have a good evening, or day, or night, or wherever the fuck it is for you. I'll be live tomorrow, hopefully on time. I gotta beat Hassan and all the rest of the Gooners to go live. Get some audience, so,